What's up, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Life. Today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite co-op games. Co-op games is one of my favorite mechanics in board games because all players have to come together and work to help solve the common goal. And today I thought I'd like to share with you some of my favorites. Now, before I start, I'd like to lay down some ground rules. Certain games that did not make this list is games such as Descent and Level 7 Omega Protocol, because not all players are working together. One player is the DM or the Overlord working against the other players. Another games that didn't make this list is games with hidden characters in which there are like betrayers, such as Shadows over Camelot and Battlestar Galactica, because certain players have their own hidden agenda, which is separate from the group. So, without further ado, let's start it up. There are two games that just fell short of the list I'd like to mention. First one is Arkham Horror, and the second one is Ghost Stories. So let's start it up with my number 10. Number 10 is a card game called Pathfinder, the adventure card game Rise of the Ruin Lords. In this game, all players play a specific fantasy character, such as paladins, warriors, rogues, wizards, and you're trying to go through each adventure and try to complete the quest in order to finish the campaign. Even though this game people say it's a deck builder, I don't believe it's a deck builder. Yes, you have a deck of cards in which does represent your character, and each deck does feel different than the other ones. Like the wizard does feel like a wizard with all his spells and scrolls, while the rogue has a bunch of tools, and the warrior has all the weapons and the armor. And a deck is your life, but it's not I don't find it to be a true deck builder as other games. Now, the only problem with this game is I found it to be easy, way too easy. Not once in all the games we played did we ever come close to being defeated. So, that's my number 10, Pathfinder. My number 9 is a real-time game called Escape, Curse of the Temple. In this game, players are trying to get out of a temple that's collapsing by rolling dice in real time. It is very hectic when those dice start flying, especially if they fall off the table. It gets a little crazy. But that's the whole drawing part to the game is how hectic it can be. And because you're on a timer. Now, I don't use the CD that comes with it. I prefer the sand timer. That's just me. Especially when you're playing at the game store and it's too loud. And the game only takes 15 minutes to play. So that's my number 9, Escape. My number 8 is a little game called Marvel Legendary. In this game, players are drafting, making a deck of heroes from the Marvel Universe to fight against Mastermind and his evil plots. And the plots vary from breaking out prisoners to the Marvels, not the Avengers vs. Marvel, but the Civil War, and all that fun stuff in the Marvel Universe. I love this game. I have every expansion for this game. So that's my number 8, Marvel Legendary. My number 7 is a dungeon crawling game, Dungeons & Dragons: Wrath of Asharlan. And this is the second one in the Dungeons & Dragons board game line. The first one is Castle Ravenloft, and the third one is Legends of Drizzt, or Drizzt, how you going to pronounce it. But this is pretty much a light dungeon crawler. It takes a lot of its core mechanics from 4th edition D&D, and players are just going through each scenario, drawing tiles and fighting the monsters in it. This has tons of miniatures, very good miniatures. It is very light, only takes about an hour. So that's my number 6, Wrath of Asharlan. My number 5 is a game you might have heard of, Robinson Crusoe. In this game, players are stranded on an island and they're trying to get out. the theme fits quite well in this game. You do feel like you're on an island trying to get out. The first scenario is you guys are trying to build a big fire in order to sit on a ship. So through the whole scenario, you're trying to gather wood and trying to also fight off the effects of being on an island, such as the weather, trying to find food, and sometimes stray animals will come and fight you and try to build up palisades and the roof so you don't take damage from sleeping out in the night air. A bunch of stuff is going on in this game. It is a little fiddly for some players, and it can drag on a little bit, going all over the 2-hour mark with some games, but the theme fits. You do feel like survivors on an island. So that's my number 5. I'm sorry, my number 6, Robinson Crusoe. My number 5 is a game called Forbidden Island. Forbidden Island, players are adventurers trying to get these 4 treasures off the island before the island sinks. It is a very light game. It only takes about 4 or 5 minutes to play. It plays well for any number of age groups. I played with children. It's gone over well with them. This is probably my first gateway game for co-op I like to play with players. So that's my number 5, Forbidden Island. My number 4 is a very popular game called Pandemic. Pandemic, players are scientists and trying to stop the spread of these 4 diseases. Takes about an hour to play. It's a very good game. It's one of the most successful co-op games that I've seen. I've seen this at Toys R Us and Walmart before over the past few years. The only problem I have with Pandemic is it does suffer from a quarterbacking issue in which one player will tell all the players what to do. But other than that, it's still a very good game. So that's my number 4, Pandemic. My number 3 is an LCG by Fantasy Flight Games called Lord of the Rings. Now, an LCG is not a CCG in which it's collectible. It's non-collectible, and there are packs that come out every month, and then I believe maybe 2 or 3 times a year they have a big box expansion, and all those add more characters and more adventures to play in the Lord of the Rings, and it takes a lot of stuff from the movies as well as the lore of Middle Earth, and players are building a deck and trying to try to complete the adventure. This box comes with 3 adventures, and each pack comes with an additional 1 adventure. Now, one of the problems I've heard with this game is a lot of people don't like the deck building aspect of it, and because each scenario is slightly different than the last one. So the deck that you use to beat the previous one probably won't work inside try to beat the new scenario and the new challenges that scenario brings. So you're going to have to do some deck building and some trial and error and some research. And some players don't like that. Now, I've played a lot of Magic the Gathering and Legends of the Five Rings in my youth, so deck building doesn't bother me. I'm a very big fan of Lord of the Rings, so it's part of why I like this game so much. So that's my number 3, Lord of the Rings LCG. My number 2 is another fantasy game called Defenders of the Realm. In this game, players are typical fantasy characters, such as paladins, wizards, rogues. They're trying to stop these 4 generals and their henchmen, the minions, from rampaging the land and trying to stop them from getting to Monarch City. This game plays a lot like Pandemic, in which there are 4 generals. In Pandemic, you have 4 diseases, and the way that the minions spread in this game is very similar to how the diseases spread in Pandemic. But in this one here, you have dice rolling. To defeat a minion, you have to roll dice. To defeat the warlord, you have to play certain cards, and you got to roll dice to fight them. Now, that's one of its biggest problems is the dice rolling aspect. But I don't mind the dice rolling aspect, and I love the theme in this game. The feeling that all players are adventurers in this fantasy land, going across and trying to stop all the minions. And there is no really bad decision in this game like Pandemic, in which there is a clear-cut path to do. In this game, it's all that. So that's my number 2, Defenders of the Realm. So leads me to my number one game, and it's a sequel sort of to another game I talked about, and that is Eldritch Horror. Eldritch Horror, to me, replaces Arkham Horror. And Arkham Horror was my first co-op game I've ever played. And this does everything Arkham Horror does, but only better. It streamlines the game, it streamlines the combat, streamlines everything about Arkham. What I loved about Arkham Horror, it made it better. That's Eldritch Horror. Eldritch Horror players are investigators trying to stop the ancient one or the old one from awakening and destroying the world. And you try to go across, and that's another thing. It's the whole world is in this game. While in Arkham Horror, it's encapsulated to a small city in, I believe it's Maine or New Hampshire, called Arkham. Well, this plays a globe-trotting and trying to see and trying to investigate all these different things that are happening throughout the world to stop the ancient one from awakening. This does everything I want in a board game. It makes you feel like you're against this incredible odd. That odds are against you, and you're trying to work together with your fellow investigators and to try to stop the madness that's happening. So that's my number one game. My number one co-op, Eldritch Horror. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.